Welcome back, everybody, to the Know-It-Alls Talk Ball podcast, episode 5.
6.
Episode 6.
We've been doing this a long time.
Yeah,
it's
been already a week, a month and a half. We've been doing this podcast. This is our 10 subscriber special. No, it's not. But welcome back. If you are joining us for the first time, remember to subscribe. But also, I'm Juan. This is Jason.
If you haven't caught us before.
In case. You never know. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that still haven't caught us.
I mean, if you look at the population of the world and you look at the amount of people watching our videos, it would be, you'd say that a fair amount of them haven't seen the video.
But that can change with this episode, maybe.
I reckon we're looking at 5 billion for this one.
This episode, yeah. So, so what are we going to get on this 5 billion view special?
This 5 billion view special, we're going to run through the Libertadores from last week. This will be a very quick review because we couldn't watch the game. And it's impossible to find any really decent highlights anywhere for this one, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, we'll get into that for a little bit. And then we're going to do a little segment looking at we've picked 2 managers each that we think are teetering on the edge of sort of losing their job a little bit.
Stick and twist exercise.
That's the name of stick and twist.
Stick or twist. That's the name of the segment.
Yeah. So we'll introduce those managers later. And then for our last segment, we've got a big preview segment this week because we've got very, very big games all around Europe. So we've picked 2 that we think are the biggest. You can argue about that in the comments if they are the biggest. They're probably not. And then we've also got, I think, 6 games that we're going to do a quick little score preview for. And then
going back to our roots, like the first episode.
And maybe next week we can look at those and see actually what we got right.
Probably not many.
And what we got wrong, probably all of them. Yeah. But yeah, let's get into it with our first segment. See you in a bit. Okay, welcome back. So let's look at the Libertadores final from this weekend. 1-0 Flamengo win.
Champions, congratulations to the team from Rio. I want to say they're from Rio.
You're asking me?
I don't know. I think they're from Rio. But either way, congratulations to Flamengo. 3rd title. 3rd
Great.
Libertadores title.
What else can I say about it?
Which I was shocked to find out is tied for the most by Brazilian teams. I thought that there would be kind of like a team that has more than 3, but apparently 3 is the most they have.
Do you know how those Argentinians are doing?
Yeah, so we have 7 with Independiente. That's the most. Then Boca has 6 and River Plate has 4. So we kind of dominate.
Wait, I thought you said 7.
Independiente, yeah. So they're also an Argentinian team.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my bad. You meant in total. Like how many?
I don't know. I'm just asking about the Argentinians.
Oh yeah, we do pretty well. Not recently, not the last 3 years, but before that we were doing not too bad. But 1-0. What did you think of the game? I guess the little that we managed to watch.
The little bit that I've seen to watch, the goal was a tap-in.
Good ball. I thought it was a nice cross-in.
Yeah, it was fine. I don't know what to say. It looked like a boring game even on the highlights.
I thought that from the highlights, at least, like Paranese, seemed like they were a bit more in control in the first 15 minutes, and I thought the red card was like just the stupidest.
It was 2 yellows, right?
2 yellows, and they were both terrible tackles. It wasn't like it was a bad call. Like especially the second one, you're on a yellow. Why are you going
in the first half?
In the first half, and I think it was like minute 38 and 43, so it was like right there. The second yellow he gets for the stray red, he just goes at the guy, at the winger. No chance of catching him. Throws it up 2-footed.
Daft.
You're in a final, man. Just keep your head. Let him run past the wing. See at least a corner. Because
once that happened, the goal went in not too long after.
I think they got the red at the 43rd, and they scored maybe in the 45th plus 4, something like that, like on added time. Gabigol scores once again, scoring the winner in another Libertadores final for Flamengo. He was man of the match, I guess. I don't know. It said so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know a lot about the game because I don't. And that's why we try to watch as many of these big games that we do review. Because you get a way better you can't look at a stat sheet and you can't look at the score line and say what happened in the game and what went wrong, what went right, you know?
Although, like, I think if we are just going to look at the stat line, the thing we can, again, say that it was a bad game because the expected goals was like 1.4 for Flamengo, and they played a whole second half with an extra man, and Paranese had 0.5 expected goals.
It's not screaming action.
Like, wow, what a game, you know? I think it was quite disappointing, but honestly, most finals are, so...
Yeah.
It's
most.
There's a few. Like Champions League, I feel like we haven't had a good final in a couple of years.
In a few years. But like, we had a couple bangers a few years in a row.
We also did have a couple good ones. But you know, I mean, again, congrats to Flamengo. And yeah, I hope.
And David
also,
Luiz.
congrats to Arturo Vidal, who came off the bench for Flamengo. That's a player we forgot to highlight. He plays for Flamengo.
I did see him but he was meant to be injured maybe.
Oh, was he? I think he came on in like the last 15 minutes or something like that. Like he just made the cameo.
A lot of legends in that.
Yeah, David Luiz. He made an awful mistake though. At least in one of the highlights, David Luiz, like he let the player clean through, but still won. Congratulations, and that's basically all we have to say. I don't think we're gonna really dip our toes in South American football again.
No, not particularly. I mean, it's very hard to watch and sort of find the right stuff. So. And we had more important things going on.
Yeah. Especially like if River Plate was playing. 10 o'clock on a Saturday.
I would love to catch a River Plate Boca game.
That would be fun.
We might preview and review one of those.
That'd be good.
That's a great game.
But let's get on to our next segment.
Yeah.
Stick or Twist on Europe's most under fire managers. Stay tuned. Welcome back to our new segment, which we have decided to call Stick or Twist. I mean, honestly, maybe somebody else has done this. I think many people do this. I don't know with this name. Hopefully not. Yeah.
But everyone talks whether a manager should get fired
or not, right? So, it's always a good topic to bring up.
Exactly.
And today, for our first Stick or Twist, I mean, who knows? Maybe it's a recurring segment. You never know.
Yeah, could be.
I'm going to start. So, as you said before, we have two managers each that we want to talk about. They've been a bit under fire from their fans. Mostly from their fans. And sort of like the world kind of wants to know what's going to happen with these guys.
Well, I mean, I have one that I wouldn't say has been under fire drastically.
It's
but
more like
one
hot.
that I
wanted
to bring up into the conversation of...
He's getting preheated right now in the oven. So let's start with someone who... Is he under fire or not? I guess that's for everybody to decide. But I'm going to go with Liverpool's Jurgen Klopp as the first man that we're going to talk about. So Liverpool are currently 9th. They have 4 wins, 4 draws, 4 losses this year. This is, I think, Liverpool's close to or worst start in a Premier League season. Definitely Klopp's worst start as Liverpool manager. I think that they have gotten a bit not fortunate because they do play well in the Champions League. They definitely have been there. I think they came second in the group. They did score like quite a lot of goals against Rangers. They beat Napoli last night, so it's not like they're doing bad.
Yeah.
But the eye test and the underlying stuff is bad for Liverpool.
The eye test?
Yeah, so when you watch Liverpool play, some teams like they pass the eye test and then you look at the underlying figures, like how many shots do they take? Oh, they're getting very lucky or whatnot. Like an Ole team like didn't really pass the under the hood stuff, but they did.
They failed everything.
But they failed.
I mean, eye test. That's what because I mean that's why we hired Ole, because he had like a massive unbeaten run. Yeah. And I remember watching those games and saying, this isn't going to work. Like I could have said right then and there, because he was just a caretaker manager.
Yeah.
Like, we'll bring him on full time. I was like, no.
Well, Ole's at the wheel.
Well, he's not
Sign
anymore.
him up. Give him the contract. But anyways.
Back to Jurgen.
Back to Jurgen Klopp. So the eye test should be enough to tell that they're struggling. Like, I don't know how many of you caught the game against Leeds. They were terrible.
I mean, you
were
have to lose to a Leeds team right now, right?
Leeds, I think that they get a little bit of unfair criticism. I quite like the way they play, and I think what Jesse March has done is really impressive, considering that he's basically had to turn over the squad, like the 2-3 best players of the team, and also basically remove Bielsa's influence from a team, right? I thought Leeds played them out the park. They were pressing them hard. They created way more chances than Liverpool, and I just thought Liverpool looked so like just lost, like just
Yeah.
playing with no energy. You know.
I think I've watched them a few times this season, and that's the vibe that I do get with the team is that they have sort of one way of playing, let's say,
which is like
and
this like hard
yeah,
pressing,
very sort of play a high line,
Yeah.
control the game. And the only game when I've seen them set up as something different was the one against Man City.
The thing is, if
and
they
they
don't
won.
play Man City every weekend, they are
No.
gonna have a bad season because for some reason against us, they have played
Yeah.
so well both games, the
Played
Community
great.
Shield final and the
Yeah.
the game that we lost. But against Leeds, they were awful, and I think that. I saw a thread on Twitter. I don't want to get into sort of poor spending with Klopp and stuff because I don't think that their signings have been bad. I mean, in the long run of Klopp's tenure, like, you know, you have guys who are going to go down as Liverpool cult legends. Like Andy Robertson, I'm not sure if he was already there.
No, he came from Hull.
But I'm not sure if he was there when Klopp joined or not. Like, that's
I'm
what
not
I
too
don't
sure.
know. But, you know, Van Dijk, Allison, he brought up Trent, like Salah he signed, like a lot of guys that, like, he helped to sort of become Liverpool legends. But now I just think that the team has just lost. It's not like the team has lost motivation to play for Klopp the same way that the Spurs team with Pochettino was towards the end of his run, that you could tell that nobody really wanted to play for Pochettino. I don't see that, but I just don't think that there's been enough turnover in the squad. And I think their biggest issue is the midfield by far. It's an aging midfield. Henderson can't track back anymore. Like, he can really give you 30 minutes now where he's really going for it. Because if you make him play 90, you're going to get exposed. Fabinho's also lost some of his legs. He hasn't been as good as he was like the last couple of years where people thought he was maybe the best CDM in the world. Then you have guys like Milner who's fallen off a cliff.
I mean,
He doesn't trust the Ox for
he's
some
just-
reason.
I mean, Milner's just he can play decent.
He played well
but
against City,
against
which is
City,
bad.
He was
yeah.
really well, yeah. But I mean, how old is the guy? Like
30. I
Yeah.
mean, like I think he made his debut for Leeds in like 2001.
He's
or
been
something like
around
that,
for
so
ages,
Maybe
yeah.
not 2001. That seems a bit
Yeah.
much. But I think like their midfield is a big issue. I mean, it's way past its best. Like let me see. I checked the injury. So Fabinho is not the player he was. Naby Keita never really hit his stride since he signed,
No.
and he's injured again. Then you have Curtis Jones just came back from injury. Harvey Elliott is 19, so you can't. He's been
also
good.
no midfielder as well. Huh?
No, he also played on the wing a lot at the
Yeah.
championship when he was on loan, and like now he's playing as like a center mid. He's good, but he's also 19. You can't
Yeah.
expect, unless you're like world class, you can expect a 19-year-old to go into an elite team and outperform everybody. Fabio Carvalho, they also signed him from Fulham. I think he's been good, but also only 20, and he's really more a second striker than a midfield. Thiago is really the only midfield that's really good, and this is despite the fact that he's never really been
Yeah.
physically that guy.
But I also feel Thiago, he has great games. Like he has games where he
like
just
against City.
controls,
Against City, he was so good.
controls the midfield, controls the passing, is just the creative player to a T.
Yeah.
But then you have other games where he's really just quite ineffective.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah.
So
And he can't track back. He can't
No.
do like if Robertson goes on a run and
He's
you're
not a
playing with the
box-to-box.
sideline. No,
No.
Thiago is not the guy who's going to be edge of the box and then coming back like
No.
Hendo did before.
yeah, and he
So-
doesn't have the physicality to win the ball
No.
off some of the best players in the Premier either.
And the thing with that too is that because of the midfield being so poor, it's exposed the defense more because now you're playing it with a high line. Van Dijk, he's asleep most of the games I watch. Like I feel like he's just not really there.
He's just saving himself for the World Cup, mate.
Maybe. I hope so. I hope he doesn't get injured. That'd suck. But
Yeah.
he seems like he's a bit lost. Joe Gomez, another terrible mistake against Leeds that led to the first goal.
Oh, that was
so bad.
shocking, yeah.
Allison has been good, but also not like the best keeper in the world that I thought he was the last couple of years. And then you also have just bad luck, like Luis Diaz out until after the World Cup, Diogo Jota out until after the World Cup. Right now, Liverpool's 3 available attackers are Salah, Firmino, Nunez. A front 3 that has not played together, basically in any game. I guess I don't know who
I
started
don't know how
yesterday.
you would sort of put those.
I
two
guess
together
you would have
either.
to ask Darwin to play left wing, and Salah right wing with Firmino as like a false 9, and then you have inverted wingers to like attack. But Darwin, I also think I don't think that was a bad signing either. Like I think he's gonna come very good. He's got a nose for goal. He just needs to like fix his head a little bit and learn how to play with the team.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think it's a bad money signing. I think for
Yeah,
80
the 180
million,
plus
what
100 if you get like I don't know what he has to hit.
he's not
to be
going to
at
hit
100.
any goal targets, so it doesn't really matter.
And yeah, really the only bright spot is that Bobby Firmino has come back to form, but it hasn't really been enough for Liverpool. Like what's crazy to me is that Liverpool has 16 points in the Prem in November, and Haaland has 17 goals. Haaland has more goals in the Prem than Liverpool have points as a team. That's ridiculous.
So what's the verdict?
So the verdict, I think that he's gonna stay. I would stick with him too. I think that this team, once the injuries get back, I think he's going to have to take this World Cup to really think of a way to fix this team, see how he does with the deficiencies he's finding in midfield. Obviously, it'll be a tough season. I think, and honestly, I see him doing a Dortmund thing where he gets to the end of the year. If Liverpool are not in the Champions League spots, which are not as guaranteed, like a month ago, I would have told you they're going top 4. Now with the way that Chelsea are playing under Potter, they're finding their groove. They're going to get better because new manager Ten Hag is still working a lot with that United team. They're going to get better. They're playing way better.
United are going top 4.
They might. And Newcastle now has entered the conversation because Newcastle are playing very good football under Eddie Howe. So I don't think that top 4 is such a certainty as I would have thought last month. So I think if Liverpool failed to make top 4, or if they're out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, I think Klopp he'll resign. I think he'll leave. I think he'll quit the club like he did at Dortmund because he'll see like, okay, this is as far as I can take this team, which is fair enough. Like he's done wonders. Yeah. But if my final verdict is he has to stay.
Yeah.
You
fair
keep
enough.
Him.
I would keep him as well. Yeah.
Like unless he leaves, I don't see the point of firing him.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got one stick.
Stick with Klopp.
So let's move on from Klopp. I've got another Premier League manager here, other end of the table. Well, I mean, not really other end of the table.
Not anymore. Improved,
but Brendan Rodgers, well, they're still down the bottom. So obviously Leicester struggling big time this season. So they're sitting 18th in the Prem. They're
18th.
They're still in the last relegation spot. They've conceded 25 goals.
In what, 12 games, I want to say? That's too many. I think we've had 12, yeah.
Yeah, so conceded a lot of goals. Defense is their biggest issue, and it was their biggest issue last season. This is what sort of worries me about Leicester, is that you can see the downward spiral a little bit. You could see it coming. And the thing is, Brendan Rodgers' teams in the past have never been good at keeping goals out. Yeah. You know, the Liverpool team that almost won the title with him, they were the first team, I think, to score 100 goals in a season and not win the Premier League title because they conceded so many others.
101.
Yeah. So, the defense is the real problem, and the lack of investment was huge in the summer. Yeah. So they only paid for one player. They brought in one player on a free, and they paid for one player who was a Belgian centre back by the name of Wout Faes, I think.
Yeah, F-A-E-S, right?
F-A-E-S.
He started against City on the weekend. Yeah.
He doesn't look like the worst player.
No, and I think they paid me 15 mil.
15, 17, I think, maybe
much,
something like that. So, I mean, that's probably not a bad signing.
That's okay, yeah.
But you can't take a defense that already has gaps this big in it, sell away Fofana, and then try and be like, hey, Johnny Evans and new guy, can you just kind of, grab some duct tape and just strap this together for the season, That's not going to work. So I think they're really going to be struggling unless they make investment in January. That's going to be quite interesting.
Which I don't think is likely, because I heard that there's rumors that they're looking to sell the club.
Yeah, well, the reason that they didn't invest is because the owner doesn't have the capital right now. Like, he's a business that he has been hit hard by COVID, apparently.
Doesn't he own, like, Thailand or something? Like, half of Thailand?
Is he Thai?
I think his company runs maybe all, if not 80% of the electricity around Thailand or something.
So, I mean, I heard that energy people were making big bucks though recently.
Maybe. Who knows?
What do I know? We're getting off track here. This is geopolitics.
Know-it-alls talk politics.
Oh, and they've lost Schmeichel.
Yeah,
in the transfer window as well. Huge, and they just haven't been able to replace the players. No. And then going forward, had they been scoring the same amount of goals as they had previous seasons, it probably would have been okay.
Yeah.
But Vardy is not the force that he was anymore.
How old is Vardy now? 35, 36? Like, he's getting up there.
Yeah, 30. Yeah, something
in
those,
between the
in
mid
that
30s,
range,
right?
Yeah, mid 30s, something like that. So yeah, he's not the force that he was anymore. I believe they still have Iheanacho.
They do, yeah.
They do still have him, but he caught fire a little bit last season.
Yeah, I think he was even player of the month once, and then it's like, but that was also with City. Like when he played for City before he signed for Leicester, that was Iheanacho in a nutshell. Like one game he scores twice, and you're like, oh, this is the guy who's gonna take over from Aguero. And then he doesn't score for a month or two, and then he comes back, scores two or something like that. So very inconsistent.
Yeah, so I know, there's not really a sort of central strike focus there. James Maddison has been amazing.
So good.
He's still so good.
The worst part is I think that Leicester playing bad might affect his chances of going to the World Cup, and I think he 100% should be on that plane.
Should be in that, in that conversation for sure. But I mean, the results have been really up and down this season. They've, they lost to Bournemouth, which if you're in a relegation battle, you don't want to be handing points over to Bournemouth.
No.
And they were leading in that game as well, I'm pretty sure, which is pretty bad. And Southampton as well. Two teams that I think are going to be in and around that bottom bit of the table come the end of the season.
And realistically, like, we should not be speaking about Leicester like this. Like that, because we would expect after the last 2 years that we've had with Rodgers, you would expect that they would win these games.
Yeah. Two years ago, I think they won. 2 years they won the FA Cup. I think,
2 years ago, because last year was Liverpool. The year before,
and last year they came 8th. The year before they came 5th.
Yeah.
So if they go out, it's a huge downward spiral.
That's great. And also because the team has talent. Like, I think that's the only good thing about Leicester. If they do go down, I think they'll immediately come back up because either their extremely talented players will stay or they sell Madison for like 50 to Newcastle. They sell Paxton Daka for 30, 40 to
Madison,
somebody
that's
else.
The thing. If this club goes down, they will get gutted. I mean, Ndidi gone. Vardy probably gone as well. Maybe not back to the Prem, but somewhere else.
I could see him go to the Prem and be like I think that a team like United could maybe use Jamie Vardy, just not because of the goals, but just what he bring to the table, and I think he'd still probably give you like 10 to 15 goals overall in a season. You know, like.
But yeah, Madison would be on the first. I mean,
Madison. I think they should have sold. Considering how things were going at the start of the season, I think they should have just blown it up and sold Madison regardless. Try to make some money back and just try and survive.
I think the lack of investment has really hurt Rodgers. And I think he said that as well. He said that he wasn't happy with.
It's 81 center back.
Yeah.
After losing 81 for 80 million. Like.
Exactly. It was never gonna pan out, and then you lose your first choice goalkeeper as well. And it's all showing in the way that they play.
And their keeper is fucking terrible. Danny Ward. I'm sorry. Like, I don't think any football player listens to this, but Danny, if you ever listen to this, man, like, get a grip, bro. Like, you're not a good goalkeeper, man. I really hope I never meet him in person, but you
gotta worry about it, man. But I've laid out all these things that are going terrible about with Leicester, but I'm gonna say stick. And
I think I agree with you too. Yeah.
Here's my reasoning. I think quite often you get a team, they go through this sort of period, and they'll be so quick to fire their manager.
Yeah.
And Brendan Rodgers is clearly a very, very talented manager. He's done great things with this Leicester team. So I think it would be kind of crazy I think they would slide further if they got rid of him. I think if they got rid of him, I would put them top of the relegation bunch.
Also, because the candidates that are available, like the big names like Thomas Tuchel, Pochettino, realistically, those guys are not going to Leicester.
I could see Poch maybe trying out Leicester.
Taking Leicester?
Yeah.
I think he's holding on for another big job, personally. Like, that would also be interesting to talk about, like, managers without a job.
Yeah.
But, I would probably stick with him. I think if I was Rodgers, I would resign. If I was him, I would resign.
Now?
Or during the World Cup, because he's taken, like, he had, he was, when he coached Swansea, top of the world, I think he won the FA Cup with Swansea, which is ridiculous, or the League Cup, something like that. He won some trophy with Swansea. Then he went to Liverpool, reputation, it's like, wow, this guy, like, he's going to win the league. Then his reputation went like, whew, because he was terrible. That team was bad. Then he went to Celtic, was unbeaten. I think he won the league 3 times in a row, like just really good. Then he came back to Leicester, to England, to kind of get his reputation. His reputation all-time high again, winning the league, fighting for top 4, or winning the FA Cup, fighting for top 4 with Leicester. And now I think he's kind of falling again, and people are again beginning to compare him to the manager he was, which I don't necessarily think he is. I think it just seems like he kind of runs out of ideas after a while.
I don't know that it's that, or whether he's just got into situations that are just really hard to get out of in terms of club. Like if you look at the Liverpool team that he ended up having to deal with, they had Mario Balotelli, the signings that they were what's his name, Fognini. I don't know what his
Fabio
name was.
Barini? Is that him? Fabio Barini?
Could be,
Wow, that name came from the back of my head. Ricky Lambert as well.
Ricky Lambert, like they were terrible
They
players,
were so bad.
And I think he's in a similar situation now where Leicester just don't have the money to put back into the squad at the moment.
Which is a big shame. I love Leicester.
I do really like Leicester. I hope they stay up as well.
Yeah,
but
me too.
Let's move on. Who you got for your second one?
Let's move on. So my second one, I'm going for another big team right here. Let's go Juventus. Let's go Max Allegri. So he joined the club last year. 2 seasons ago already in May. So this is his second season basically fully in charge again.
Yeah.
He took over from Pirlo. Honestly, that summer, which would be when Inter won the league. When Inter won the league.
Yeah, Milan won.
No,
AC
sorry.
Milan
won last year. So Milan won the league that year. Milan won the league. I thought that Juventus were going to win it last season before preseason, like during preseason, because I was like, Allegri's coming back. This guy has built like power, like dynasties out of Juventus. Like never lost a league title when he was coaching them. 2 Champions League finals. I don't know how many Coppa Italias he won as well. Like he just turned them into this amazing team. So it's kind of sad to see that it's not working out. Although to be fair, I've never really been a big Juve fan to begin with.
I lost all respect for Juve when they changed their logo.
Yeah, the logo sucks. The logo sucks. They went way too modern.
I love the Italian
logos. The logos like Inter's, Milan's are so sick.
They look and like
it stands out like a sore thumb. The 2 J's,
the beautiful cylinder that they had and stuff, and then they go,
nice.
It looks bloody
the 2 J's, and they're currently 7th. Right, but unlike Liverpool, who find themselves 8 points behind Newcastle in 4th, Juve are only 3 points behind in the Champions League spots. So they're not that far off. They are far from Napoli, and there's no way they're going to compete.
But you could argue that Champions League isn't good enough for a
But
Juve
that's
team.
also the big issue, the Champions League. I think that when you saw the group, PSG, Juventus, Benfica, Maccabi Haifa, you would expect Juve to come second, right? I think that that's a bit harsh on Benfica. I think that Benfica is a good team. It's just that you would expect Juventus to make it out. And also last season, Champions League against Villarreal, I think a lot of people thought that they would make it, and Villarreal spanked them 3-0, I think, in Italy to close out the deal.
Yeah.
So it's clearly not been going well. The team the defense is good. They have the best defense in Italy. They conceded, I think, only 7 in 12, which is the best in the league. The goals are okay, 18. That's not really setting anyone's house on fire, but it's not like they can't score. Mourinho's Roma, I think, are 4th, and they've scored 12. So, the team is not bad, but I just think that there's so many other issues going on. Their transfer policy is awful. They keep signing just players that are way past their prime on a free 300K wages. They signed Di Maria, fair enough, he was doing well until he got injured. That too, so many injuries. Chiesa out. Vlahovic and Moise Kean both out right now.
Who do they have
Di Maria, I think the last game they played with Moise Kean, and then he got injured. I think it's a little injury. They should be both back. But who else is injured? Leandro Paredes, they signed on loan from PSG. Played, I think, 1 or 2 games, injured. Who else do I have? That's basically and Paul Pogba. That's the biggest one. They brought him back. He hasn't played a minute, and he won't until after the World Cup because he's now. It's said that I don't know if he re-injured himself or that the assessment wasn't as good as he hoped. So he's not going.
He's not going to the World Cup.
No, he's not. Oh. So France's midfield of Kanté and Pogba not going. The starting midfield from last one, and Matuidi too. So they have to change their whole team.
Tough.
But as I said, so
I get the feeling when I watch Juve play that a lot of the players, I don't get the sense that they want to be there some of the time.
That, and also there seems to be a lack of coherence between the players. Like I think that there's like a lot of players that are playing out of position. Like Weston McKennie's also injured right now, but when he has played, he's played right winger or right mid, and he at Schalke where he made his name as a good CDM, like, or a good
central
spot to box,
midfielder.
and. So it doesn't really make any sense. Like, and I feel like they're just making too many mistakes on their transfer policies. I think signing Blahovic was good, and he's going to come out good. I wonder how he feels, like about signing for Juve now.
I think Juve is one of those clubs that's like too big to fail. I reckon, they could be back next season to the top. I think there's a couple of missing pieces. I think Vlahovic can still be an amazing sort of someone to build a squad around. He
could be like Del Piero because he's also only 22, so he could play for another 10, 15 years at Juventus.
I think getting rid of Dybala was a huge mistake.
Yeah, because now they have no creativity. And I think bringing in Di Maria was smart, but now that he's injured, but I think bringing Pogba and Di Maria was smart because that's what the team lacked. Without Dybala, there was no creative players, especially Pogba recently. And Di Maria's also never been one for crazy fitness. That's true.
No.
And I think what really shocked me that they're averaging only 1.47 points per game, which is basically a draw every time. And that's the issue too. They have only lost one game in the league to Milan, but they've drawn so many.
Yeah.
So they just can't pick up points.
And so, the Italian league at the moment is Serie A.
Yeah.
You've got Napoli and Atalanta kind of... Wait, is it Atalanta?
Well,
so running away with it a little bit?
Napoli's running away with it. They're 5 points ahead, I want to say, of Milan. And then Milan, Atalanta, and then Roma, maybe. Because I think Inter is only... They're 6, so they're also not having a good year.
But I think I can see Inter coming back.
Picking it up a little bit. But see, that's what I think about Juve too. I actually think Juve will end up in the Champions League spots because their team sucks and it looks awful right now. But when you look at the players coming back and if they can find fitness and if they're going to be fine, like bringing players like Pogba, Fede Chiesa, Paredes, like all these players that they're bringing back from injury, I think that they will be fine. I think that if you watch Juve, you'll be bored, but they should be fine.
Yeah.
I think also I do think, so they're playing Champions League in a couple minutes, right? Like in 20 minutes.
Against Maccabi Haifa.
Against PSG they're playing.
Is it?
Yeah, they're playing PSG in Turin. And then Maccabi is playing Benfica. So if Juve lose and Maccabi somehow find a point from that game against Benfica, then Juve is even out of the Europa League. I think that plus a loss against Inter, like a bad one this weekend in the biggest game of Italy.
I mean, if they lose big against PSG tonight as well.
That could also, especially in Turin, like if they get spanked 3-4, 5-0, like especially the way Messi, Mbappe, Neymar are playing, like if they get really spanked, we could see him get fired tomorrow. But what I also saw is that they owe him like 45 million euros to fire him because his contract runs until 2025 and he's the highest paid coach in Serie A.
Oh my God.
So realistically, I think they will stick because they have to. I don't think financially. I would personally let him go and immediately call Thomas Tuchel. I think that
Tuchel
guy
would be a good fit
3 at the back, 3 like literally playing the way Allegri wants, but way more attacking. I think he would have the players that he wants, like Fede Chiesa, Blahovic. He could turn into a really good striker. Like I think I would be like Allegri. I don't care what the result is. You didn't get us out of this group. We're 7th. We're playing like shit. Call Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah.
I would twist and call Thomas Tuchel. What I think will happen, I think they'll keep him.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I would go stick for this one. Just until the end of the season. If he gets, because I reckon, I don't know. I'm very sort of lenient on these things,
The 45
actually, I mean, I am, and then I've got who I'm going to bring up now. It doesn't really make any sense to probably a lot of people.
Let's get into it.
But I've gone with someone who hasn't really been mentioned for being fired, I reckon, ever in his tenure at the club that he's at, and that's Diego Simeone.
Yeah.
From Atletico Madrid. So. This isn't really a casual case of the other teams. I think we've been able to look at them and be like, this is terrible, that's terrible.
This can fix.
They're so far down in the league.
Yeah.
But Atletico is still only 3rd in La Liga. They're still, hanging in there. They'll probably finish in a Champions League spot, or probably.
I think they'll probably finish 3rd.
Yeah, it's they don't really have a lot of competition for those spots, but they are 9 points adrift of Real at the top already.
Already.
So I would say they're out of the championship.
Yeah,
the way Real and Barcelona are playing.
That too.
Yeah.
I don't see Atletico beating any of those teams. Yeah.
They've only scored 20 goals in La Liga this season. Sorry,
That is
I've lost.
awful. 20
Oh, and they only have expected goals of 14. So they're overperforming in terms
on a terrible amount of goals.
On a terrible amount of goals. And I think
That's
how many did they
awful.
score in the Champions League?
14 expected goals. That's like one a game.
Yeah, they only managed 5 in the Champions League.
In total, through
in
6.
Total,
Oh my god.
In 5 games.
Oh my god.
6 games?
6, yeah.
In 6 games in the Champions League, 5 goals, and they conceded 9 in that time. Now, the reason I'm highlighting the conceded goals is because Atletico teams only work when they're not conceding goals.
Yeah.
So when they won the title in, I want to say
2 seasons ago?
Yeah, 2020, 2021.
Yeah, that's COVID. Yeah, it was still COVID, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
They only conceded 25 goals the entire season.
Wow.
And they've conceded 12 already in La Liga. So it's really a combination of them not being able to score as many goals or not being able to keep as many goals out as what they usually can. And then I reckon they are one of the worst top teams to watch at the moment in Europe.
I think they have been
so
for
bad to watch.
I think since they won that title, like it's just been downhill.
It's
like
been
they're
downhill,
really not fun. They've never been fun to watch, but there was a certain there was a certain underdog story of these guys punching above their weight. But since they've been spending a shit ton of money, signing players for over 100 mil,
since they've become an A-level,
it's like, okay, then act like you are one of here, act like you belong, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. So I think João Felix is the big signing that we're pretty much referring to. I think he's a great player. He just does not fit with Atletico and Simeone's vision at all. And what did I think he was 80 million as well, right?
He was 120.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Obviously he's looking like a bit of a flop, even though I don't think he is. I think he's still got a lot to offer.
I don't think it's his fault. I also think I don't really understand the signing at all, because it's also not like they signed João Felix for 50, knowing that you could potentially sell him on for 120. Like, you sign him for 120. That's a player that needs to be playing, starting, contributing to this team. No. And right now he can't find game time over Griezmann and
Alvaro Morata.
Like, come on, man.
So I think he's kind of just wasted money, and they're going to have to sell him for way less, because even though he's still a great talent, no club is going to pay 120 million.
I think they're going to take probably a 50% loss. I could see like a team going for
60,
70, but there's no way they get 100.
Exactly. But yeah, obviously I don't think they're going to get rid of him, because, let me just run through his accomplishments at the club. Atletico is a club that are at the top of Spanish football, but they do struggle to get the better of Real and Barcelona, and when they do, it's a really big deal.
It's impressive.
So he's brought them 2 La Liga titles, 1 Copa del Rey, 1 Super Copa, 2 Europa Leagues, 2 Super Cups, and 2 Champions League finals.
Both against Madrid, unfortunately.
So that's why I don't think they're going to fire him. But I would go quite controversial here. I think it's even controversial to even bring his name up in sort of a...
He's also the highest paid manager in the world. He's earning like, what, 23 million a year?
It's stupid
like, insane amount of money.
But yeah, I would get rid of him.
Really?
And that's, not specifically because of his bad results, but I feel like they've just stagnated for quite some time now.
That's true.
And if you play beautiful, attractive football and you come second or third to Real Madrid and Barcelona,
whatever. At least we enjoyed watching the games, you know.
And I think now as well that they're not even in Europa League; they're completely out as of last night.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a really big deal for the club, because they're ones that can put together, like you said, an underdog run in the Champions League. They've been known to do that as a team that doesn't play spectacular football, that doesn't have that many big-name Galactico signings. they're quite good at putting together that cup run. So I think the fact that they're now completely out of Europe altogether this season is quite bad for the club. And I mean, hopefully they could stay together in a Champions League spot. But the way that they're playing,
doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence, does it?
It's conceivable that you could see them drop to 5th or 6th, you know?
Yeah.
Because there are other decent teams, Betis and
Bilbao is not doing bad this year.
Is gonna be right
Villarreal,
in there
well,
as
now they lost Emery, so we'll see. But they're also not a bad team.
So yeah, I would get rid of him, not necessarily because he's been absolutely terrible, but because I think it's they need a change.
I agree with you, and I think that part of me also wants to say that, but the only reason why I would stick is because I think that squad has been so tailor-made to Simeone that I wonder who you could get to come and you either get Simeone B, so you get a super defensive coach, somehow I don't know. You call Mourinho or something.
I reckon Tuchel could do a job with it.
Tuchel could do a job with it, and also, Tuchel. Pochettino, I think, would struggle with those.
Or maybe
those
Klopp.
profile. Yeah, Klopp maybe. I think Pochettino would struggle with that profile of player. Just I don't really see comparisons between his Spurs team and this Atletico, but Tuchel, maybe Tuchel. And I also wonder how much money, if Allegri is 45 million to cut his contract out, I wonder how much money you got to pay Simeone to get him out of the deal.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how long his contract is for and stuff. Maybe he has a lifetime contract.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I have no idea.
They worship him.
Yeah, I mean, as they should, but...
Yeah, he has brought them a lot.
But I agree with all your reasoning. I would probably also twist, but I would stick because I don't know who you'd bring in right now. And I don't know if it's a very attractive place to go.
I'd be pretty scared going there.
Me too. Even though you get to live in Madrid, it's super sick.
But if you do want to hire me and pay me $23 million a year, I am happy to
I'll go
listen to your offers. Yeah. So
I have experience football
Atletico,
manager, FIFA career mode.
I play career mode, so I know.
Me too. Yeah, I know
that's
how to.
Exactly the same.
I know how to sign a team, players and stuff.
All right, but this segment I think is gone very, very long.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on to some reviews. So we'll
very
see you
quick fire predictions
in just a sec. Okay, hopefully you're still with us after that marathon of a segment on that last one, but we did really enjoy talking about that stuff.
It was very fun.
And once again, clubs, hit us up if you want some managerial advice.
Yeah, we're always open.
We're always there
always
for
there.
it. But now on to some reviews. So the two big games we have picked out, Ajax against PSV in the Netherlands and Arsenal against Chelsea. Yes, I'm doing that the right way around. It is at the Emirates, I'm pretty sure.
I think so. Let me just double check. PSV Ajax. So we can start there.
Let's start there. So 1v2, part of the reason why it's been selected for the big talk, you might say. So two teams that are incredibly high scoring. PSV has 38, Ajax has 40 goals already this season in the Eredivisie. Really high-scoring teams. That's why I think you can talk about Cody Gakpo, you can talk about Xavi Simons, you can talk about sort of Bergwijn, Brian Brobby
Brian Brobby's been having a good year so far. He's on 8 goals,
So that's kind of players that you can always pick out and be like, they're your star players.
Yeah.
But this is going to be the defense this week, I think.
I mean, whichever defense shows up more is going to win the game.
Yeah. Timber and Blint, the combination of youth and experience for Ajax. And I think Pasveer in goal.
They also play with Calvin Vassie a lot. From Rangers.
Also a youngster.
I don't actually know how old he is, but I don't think he's in his 30s.
No.
He must be early 20s, something like that.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this one because I have a feeling it's going to be high scoring.
It could be a fun game. And I feel like PSV, they, like you said, they each have star players, and thankfully their star players appear to all be at the front and not really at the back. Like, there's not one guy that you're like, oh yeah, you're in Timber, I would say. You can pick him out that he's going to be class in the future. But for PSV, their back line is not bad, but it's not too good. They have like
I mean,
Jordan
we
Tese
saw they struggled when they came
against
to
Groningen,
right?
but
Yeah.
you can't come to the north. Like,
I
not
mean, it's a
everyone can
lot.
come
It's
to
a
the
lot.
north.
It's a lot easier to go Amsterdam Arena than it is. To,
Yeah,
to
exactly.
go-
To come to the north, to the Euroborg, it's a fortress.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
But I think I hope it's a good game. I mean, if PSV win, then they go above Ajax on the table, but
Yeah,
they do
well,
have a
that's
game in hand. I
Ajax?
don't know.
Yeah.
No, Ajax have a
Yeah.
game in hand, so they're top. With 11 games played and 1 extra point than
Yeah.
PSV.
all of PSV's losses actually have come on the road this
Have
season
they?
as well.
That's tough then.
So yeah,
They
but
have
I-
had some sus results. Like they lost to Groningen
It's so
4-2.
Ajax.
They also lost to Cambuur, the team from Leeuwarden, PSV. They lost 3-0 in Leeuwarden. That's embarrassing.
But they did also beat Arsenal.
They did it. They're the only team, right? And United. And you guys are the only two teams
Yeah.
who have beat
Yeah.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to predict. I think it's going to be a fun game. Let's go something crazy and say PSV 4-3.
Oh, I'm gonna say PSV 3-2.
Ooh, I hope PSV wins.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, do you have any team that you prefer over the other?
I mean, I'm always for if a Dutch team's doing well.
Right, it doesn't
then
matter,
I
just-
really like that because it usually means that there's Dutch players in there doing well.
That's true. Yeah.
But I would like to see PSV.
Me too.
Take it
Me
to
too.
Ajax,
Also with
yeah.
Ruud van Nistelrooy
With Van
at the
Nistelrooy, yeah.
helm and like. I hope it's a good game.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a shitty game and like nothing happens and
I'm feeling
Feyenoord
good
go
about
top.
this
But
one,
I feel like it's
yeah.
gonna be good.
So yeah, moving on.
So it's actually at the Bridge.
Oh, it's
Chelsea
at the Bridge.
Arsenal.
Oh,
yeah.
I was wrong. Chelsea v Arsenal. So yeah,
Fifth versus first.
fifth versus first. Also coming off really contrasting experiences this weekend.
Yeah.
Arsenal obviously won 5-0 against Forest. The usual culprits were doing their business. It was
Martinelli.
Martinelli, Saka, Jesus, and
Reece Nelson
Reece
scored
Nelson,
twice,
yeah,
right?
also
Yeah.
scored twice.
And
but-
assisted one, I think. I think
yeah,
he
I'm not
assisted
too sure.
Gabriel Jesus, maybe. I don't know if Jesus scored actually.
Yeah. I
But
don't know.
anyways, yeah.
But one thing I also want to point out about that game this weekend,
The
is-
5-0.
yeah, the 5-0. Thomas Partey scored almost an identical goal to what he scored in the North London derby. Do you remember the one where
the screamer?
the screamer, where it got passed into him and he just wraps his foot around it and
That's
just
so
goes.
crazy.
Yeah, it was-
because it has very. I remember there was some angle that they show you also the expected goal of the shot, and I think
yeah.
against Spurs it was like a 0.02 chance.
And now he's
so,
done it
but
again.
maybe it's just his shot. You know, like
it
some
was-
players have
dude,
that shot.
Look it up. It is almost. I want to put them next to each other and have a look at it because
Holy
it's like it's really he curls it, goes outside of the post, comes back in
Nice.
top corner, and
Nice.
it's just it's real nice.
But
and
Chelsea
then-
got spanked by Potter's old boys.
yeah.
4-1
I mean,
was it?
He wasn't expecting that 3-1.
3-1. I actually don't
think it was
remember
3-1.
the whole score.
Pretty sure it was 3-1.
But anyways, awful.
It was
Awful
terrible.
performance from
Yeah.
Chelsea.
Yeah, I think this is another game where defense is gonna. If the defense, because Chelsea need to get the defense right.
Yeah.
And I think Potter also, as well, hasn't quite figured out how he needs
Wants
to
to
structure this
play,
team.
yeah, because then you see him come out. Like we saw it against United. Like what was it, minute 30? He was making a sub
Yeah.
because his team was getting overrun.
And
And this Arsenal midfield can overrun you. Like
Xhaka in the form that he's
Xhaka in the
in,
form
yeah.
he's in. Thomas Partey in the form he's in.
then Odegaard.
Odegaard,
yeah.
he's so good. Like I think that Chelsea have really to be careful in this game because this game, like, I don't know. I feel like every big game for Arsenal is a prove it to me game. Like, are you really gonna push for the title?
I think this is. I mean, yeah, it's another one, right?
It's kind of
yeah.
another one, you know, like because you expect, but I really expect them to win. I think Arsenal are gonna go to the Bridge and win. I
Yeah.
think that just because the team has been under Teta for longer, they gel better. They're more of a team than what Potter has at the moment. That's why I think Arsenal are gonna win 2-1.
I am going to say the exact same thing, actually.
Yeah.
Arsenal 2-1.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that they can keep pushing us because it's fun.
I mean, yeah, I want to see a title. You never know. I mean, City could drop points, and just like that, the lead's out to 5.
I mean, we almost
Like,
dropped points to Leicester.
Yeah.
We played well, but if it wasn't for a
mean,
crazy De Bruyne free
yeah.
kick, it'd be 0-0 and we'd be more points behind.
And the
Like,
thing is, you could beat Arsenal 6-0 when you guys come up against them in the league, but if they beat if they keep consistent, which what they've been doing, they've gone to these smaller teams or mid-table teams, and they've got results week in, week out.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, you know. I think we've both been of the mindset that this title is for City, and I think a lot of people have, but you just never know.
I hope for the sake that the World Cup isn't mean to Arsenal, and you see someone like Gabriel Jesus go down for a long time, or you see someone like Xhaka go down for a long time. Like
you don't have to worry about Erling Haaland going down.
No, and also Odegaard's not going because he's also Norwegian, but Martinelli's going. Like if he goes down, if Saka goes down, I think Saka was taken off actually against Forest.
I don't know.
Reece Nelson. Because he went down with a knock.
Yeah, he was down at one point, but I'm not too sure if he actually went off.
I think he did. So I hope that his injury is not too bad because he's also crucial. Very good. Yeah. But yeah, so we both in the Arsenal stay at the top. Now let's just go through quickly.
Quick fire.
Scores.
We've got a bunch of big games this weekend.
What's the first one?
Juve Inter at Juve. What you got?
Let's go at Juve. I think Allegri needs a win, and Inzaghi could also use the win. I'm gonna go 1-1.
1-1. I'm gonna go 2-0 Inter.
Really? Wow.
I think Juve a dog.
Wow, okay. Juve. That could be the chop for
Inter have been playing well. Recently. So I'm going 2-0 Inter.
Okay.
Roma Lazio in the Serie A as well.
Oh, the eternal derby. I mean, who's home? Technically both, but who's home? Roma?
I think Roma on the...
I'm going to go Lazio 3-1. Lazio have been really impressing me under Maurizio Sarri. I think they play well. Like, he's gotten the best out of Immobile. I mean, Immobile is just automatic, but he's finally, like, SMS is back to his best. Like, the player that, like, people were, like, 100 million for him. Like, he really has that team clicking. I think that they're going to spank Roma 3-1. I think Sarri gets the win.
I've gone 1-1.
1-1?
Yeah, I mean, I think... Jose.
I'm going 3-0 actually. I don't even think Roma will score. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Marseille, Lyon.
Ooh.
Oh, sorry. No, let's stick with
Italy.
With Italy, let's go Atalanta, Napoli.
They're also playing this weekend.
I think so, unless I've got it completely wrong.
Oh wow, yeah, maybe I don't know.
Let me double check this.
But wow, Atalanta, Napoli.
We are very prepared for these.
As you can see, we are. Here, I have it right here. Serie A on Saturday. FA Cup, no. Serie A. Yeah, Atalanta is playing Napoli. Wow, in Bergamo.
Yeah.
I really want Napoli to keep doing it, so I'm gonna say 2-0 Napoli.
Yeah, I reckon this this kind of gives me the same vibe as the Ajax PSV game. You know, two teams that love to attack. Yeah. I'm going 3-2 Napoli.
Nice.
I would love to see that.
That would be a good game, especially at Osimhen 89th minute winner to keep Napoli unbeaten. Like, oh my God, it'd be great.
And then what else do we have in there? Marseille, Lyon. Let's go there.
Well, honestly, I don't really know much about either team. I don't watch a lot of French football. I think Marseille are better than Lyon this year.
At the moment, yeah.
If it's in Marseille, is it in Marseille?
It is in Marseille.
Let's go 1-0 Marseille.
I've gone 1-0 as well. I liked the way that they were playing. They should have won last night.
They were so unlucky.
Spurs,
against Spurs, yeah. I totally agree with you.
Arsenal, man, say Kolasinac.
Could have buried him.
Could have won it.
That was so close.
And then we go to Spain. Betis against the struggling Sevilla.
Well, also the Seville derby. We have Betis are flying high. Sevilla are doing okay. We'll see how they play against City now under Sampaoli.
I think they're in 18th.
They are in 18th, yeah. I mean, they're playing better. That's what I meant to say, not well. They went from terrible to bad. Yeah. Let's go Betis. I hope they win. Let's go Betis 3-1 against Sampaoli's boys.
Yeah, I don't really know a lot about these teams, but you know, you've got Betis who are fighting for those top spots, and then Sevilla who desperately need to come back. Yeah. So I'm going 2-2.
2-2, okay.
Whatever.
And I think, is that it?
And no, then we got Spurs, Liverpool.
Oh, wow, that's another big game. That's at the...
Well, we could have made this segment forever. But
Spurs, Liverpool. Spurs are dog shit. Liverpool.
I feel like Spurs could win 10 games in a row and we'd still be sitting here saying that
because
they're dog
so
shit.
Boring. Like they're the most boring game, the most boring team
boring
to watch.
Players apart from Son. It's
just like when I was watching them against Marseille, I'm like, you are
Well, they did play really bad to win that game last night. They played so bad.
And somehow they won. That's what Conte does. So Spurs are dog shit. They're gonna win 2-1.
Spurs are going to win 2-1.
Yeah, I think
I've
they'll
got
hit it.
Liverpool winning
Yeah?
2-1 just because I think they're desperate at this stage.
Mm.
But I feel like they'll still be like, oh, it's Spurs. We've lost to 2 relegation teams in a row, but like this is a team that we should be.
Yeah, it's like
and
they'll put themselves up for it.
Yeah, they'll be like, yeah, we'll go win this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got 2-1 Liverpool, and that is that.
Wow, quite a long show today.
Yeah, I don't know how long this is going to come out in the final edit, but I hope if you're still here that you enjoyed it. And if you are still here, remember to like, subscribe,
share,
do all that good
available
stuff.
on YouTube, SoundCloud. Hit us up with anything you want, and have a wonderful weekend of football.
Oh yeah.